Where do you think he ranks in terms of power? Like, if you had him facing
what,
up
in a
against...
versus?
Like
in a knockout tournament?
Like kind of like a Mortal Kombat kind of situation where they face each other. The creature versus
so who's
Freddy
he going
Krueger.
against? Freddy Krueger, even in his dreams, I don't think the Creeper's too scared.
Right, so...
Who else is
Michael Myers he'd take out, because Michael Myers is just a human. An alien.
He'd fuck up the alien.
Yeah.
He'd fuck up a predator.
No, I reckon Predator would take it.
Predator's not in the
structure.
structure.
That bloody man, because I fucking want to beat this creature.
This is the Filmy McFilm Film Show. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.
Jeepers Creepers, the 2001 movie written and directed by Victor Salva, starring Gina Phillips as Trish Jenner and Justin Long as Darry Jenner. A brother and sister, driving home through isolated countryside for spring break, encounter a flesh-eating creature which is in the midst of a ritualistic eating spree. Dun dun dun.
Beautiful. What a premise.
Did you watch this film when you were a kid?
No, to be honest, I didn't. Like, as I said, would this classify as a horror film? I suppose it would, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
As I've said many times on the Filmy McFilmy show, I'm not a big fan of horror films, so we said, like, should we do this film? And
that's interesting, because I make you do a lot of them.
Yeah, well, we've done
quite a few far.
I know, we done a couple for Halloween. I was like, I accept that. But, like, do you know what? You brought this up and was like, oh, should we watch this? And I was like, I have seen this film. The only thing that I can remember is the scarecrow, so I'll rewatch it again. And it was a treat.
It's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
I love this film. Out of interest, Phil.
Yes.
Would you say, because you know sometimes you get like an idea of what the writer or director might be like. Like if you watch, I don't know, like Martin's, like Wes Anderson.
Yeah,
we were chatting about before we started. I kind of picture him as kind of like a whimsical, cool, sort of weird guy.
Yeah, I can imagine him like smoking like cigarettes with like Quetta de Vil with like one of those long things. Like,
so what vibe would you get from the film director as a person?
I'm gonna be honest. I reckon it'll be like. And by the way, I've never seen him, so a shaggy homeless guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What like to hang? Would you think he's a cool guy?
Nice
guy.
The only reason I'm saying that is because of the villain in it, who's like a madman, like a shaggy homeless. Well, we know later on he isn't.
But personality-wise, like, would you say, or would you be like, you think he's someone you could be friends with, or like, be a cool guy?
In the context of this film, maybe not.
Do you know what? I was trying to lure you into a trap. Yeah. Basically,
he's mental.
No, he's a convicted paedophile.
Found
that out when I was doing the research for the thing, because it was funny because I went
Jeffrey Leonard.
Jeffrey Leonard. I went to look into it to be like, what else has he made? Because I knew like he'd done Jeepers Creepers 2, which is not very good. Okay, but no, different movie. But and then I noticed like, oh, he had some fat gap in his career and all this, and it turns out he is a convicted paedophile, and he actually raped a boy on the set of his directorial debut, which was produced by Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, that does make sense.
And guess who? Why does that make sense?
Well, from the villain in it, like.
Oh, okay. Well, Francis Ford Coppola was also the guy who produced this movie.
I'm getting confused with Roman Polanski.
Okay. Okay. I wonder why you said it.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola helped this convicted child molester get this movie off the ground, which kind of changed my view on him as well a little bit. Well, I saw some quotes from him basically saying something along the lines of he's served his time in prison and he's a great artist and all this bollocks. Which is it's pretty and I had to open with this partly because I wanted to do my joke, which you didn't fall into the trap. I wanted you to be like, oh, I bet he's a cool guy.
No.
He's a paedophile. How do you feel? But I had to also... I just felt weird not mentioning this at the start once I found out about it.
That kind of like... It's very... Well, it's taking me back because I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's mental,
and secondly,
isn't it?
it kind of like changes the film context. Like, is he like some weird character that lives in the shadows and has dreamed up, I am this creature that just preys on like teenagers?
Well, I do know that the second film, people drew... The second Jeepers Creepers movie, people drew some insight into the fact that there's a lot of scenes of teenage boys with their tops off, because obviously it's like a bunch of football team coming home on a school bus. Just creepy shit going on. It was actually one of the stars of the movie, who was a 12-year-old boy who he committed his crimes against, and I think he only served like 2 years in prison or something.
Oh, so that was the outcome. He went to prison for that.
Oh yeah, no, he got caught red-handed, literally in the act, on set doing it.
Fuck.
How the fuck does he get another job in Hollywood?
What is this Jeepers Creepers 1?
Yeah.
So
No, it wasn't on the set of Jeepers Creepers 1.
Right.
He made a movie like in the 80s.
Oh, okay. So this was all
before not during Jeepers Creepers.
Right.
I don't even think there's... To be honest, there's probably no children in any of his movies again.
No, but in context, he'd done this in the 80s, and then he went on to do Jeepers Creepers 1 and Jeepers Creepers 2.
Yeah.
Right. But then again, there's people like Harvey Weinstein that was going around like just touching people up. Like,
whether it was like an open secret or not, it wasn't public. This guy literally has the criminal record and the time in jail.
That's very, very intriguing.
So maybe I should have brought that up at the end, but...
I would have been like, great movie, great guy.
That's what he's I was hoping for.
Bastard.
I wanted to be like, are you a good judge of character?
It's like me watching fucking... It brings back memories of me watching Animal Hospital with Rolf Harris. What a man. He's just like...
Oh, yeah.
Look at this guy. He's such a kind man. He's a paedophile.
He's always like, we got a badger. He's hurt his paw.
He's broken his leg playing the didgeridoo.
Yeah, all that weird... What was that like? It was like a metal sheet. He got flipped back and forth.
Yeah. I hope he didn't use it to attract kids like an ice cream guy.
Rolf Harris was a popular TV presenter who turned out to be a paedophile in the UK.
He was a bad
For anyone that doesn't know. Yeah. But anyway, enough of that horrid left turn through it. That was a real curveball. Let's get into the fucking movie. So, one of the things I fucking love about this movie is the way... A lot of the criticism it got at the time from like critics and movie fans, people that just went to see it, was the fact that it starts off with building this suspense in a really interesting, clever way with zero supernatural elements. In fact, if you got all the way up to halfway through the movie and you cut it in half and then wrote your own movie, you could easily write a film that was just about a serial killer.
Yeah.
And then halfway through, it flips and turns into this oddball creature feature with this crazy gargoyle type, really like archaic depiction of a monster. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like a toy monster. You know, it is just a humanoid goblin-looking thing with bat wings and fangs, and it's indestructible and all this, but it still behaves like a serial killer. Like, I've never seen another monster where it will act like a complete beast, but then also get in its car and drive off and just behave like a serial killer and put on clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's such and I feel like it's such... You got to appreciate it's... I could see the first time you watch it going in not knowing what you're going to expect in the cinema back in 2001 and enjoying the first half so much and then being let down at what it turns into. But you got to appreciate it's such an oddball, unusual movie. Like, there's no other movie really like it that I can think of.
Well, it starts off with, like, what's that Stephen King film where the car's just chasing the whole time?
Oh, it's not... Are you thinking about the Spielberg movie Duel?
Yeah, Jewel.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like
Yeah.
First, what is this guy doing? Like, he's trying to run everyone off the road. Is he a psycho? Like, and then like, obviously later on, it expands, as you said. Like, it's just mad. Like, I just thought because when they're driving like neck to neck, like, doing all that stuff, like. It's like, is this you never really see who's like driving it, so I was like looking at it and I haven't seen it for years. I was like, who's this guy?
Which is what he did such a good job of in this movie compared with the second one. And it's understandable because once the second one's out, like you already know it's a monster with wings that's flapping about. Yeah. So I think he just consciously had a thought of saying, all right, fuck it, you're just going to see the monster all the time out in the open. Yeah. But yeah, in the first one, it does such a good job of showing you so little and slowly revealing it. And do you know what's interesting about this movie is that it's iconic at the time especially, but not really for the things you remember it. Like once you remember it kind of for... Like, once you reveal the creature, it's fucking nuts. Like, it's really out there and weird and trippy. But it's iconic for the restrained moments. Like, I remember the image of him falling down that hole.
Oh, yeah.
Down that tunnel.
Yeah.
And I remember it for that image really early on when basically starts with the sister and brother, Darry and Trish, driving across the country, home from college for spring break, and they're going home to see their parents, and it does a really good job of like setting up the brother-sister sort of chemistry where they're constantly getting at each other, but you can tell they love each other and all that.
So to go on that point, before you're going to say something else, that really does annoy me about these films. Like, they're just like, Daryl, or whatever their fucking name is. Like, if it was me and my brother, like, doing a long journey, like, trip, we'd be like, fuck you, man. we wouldn't be speaking. They're like, they're so nice to each other.
No, but they're not nice to each other.
But...
No, he calls him mama's boy and says daddy's slut. And
that's one of their cusses, is it?
They're constantly going at each other.
Yeah.
And they're driving along and they get, like you said, they nearly get run off the road by this... It's like this souped up, rusty old fucking
truck. It's like a massive Jeep kind of thing, yeah.
I don't know what it was, but it's like zooped up and rusty, and it looks like it could run anything off the road, and also just the engine fall at the bottom at any second.
Yeah, or just pick up a sofa and like deliver it.
And it's the first scare of the movie, and it's quite an unusual scare as well, because I haven't really seen that much in a horror movie where the use of a vehicle is the scare.
Yeah.
Which is really good. And it nearly runs them off the road, and then it drives in front of them, and they're kind of like freaked out and whatever. But then it's that moment, and this was the iconic shot that was also in the trailer that's freaked everyone out, where you see that guy, he's parked up in this church, and this tunnel that sort of like goes underground, this metal tunnel.
Oh, yeah.
It's sort of like a chute, I guess, that you can drop things into and it will drop underground. They see him carrying what looks like body bags out of the back of the truck, bloodstained body bags, and throwing them down the barrel. And then he sees them looking, and he's just staring at him. But it's from really far away. And that, do you remember it was in the trailer back in the day?
Yeah.
And it's that's what was iconic to me about this movie, like those little moments before you actually see what the creature is.
But the thing is, I've got to pick up on that point as well, Declan. Like, I did watch this film, like, and obviously you're not going to pick up on, like, these sort of films, I don't think are built on plots. They're built on like set pieces. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're built on different set.
Built on premise and set pieces.
Yeah. It's like if you see the geezer doing that, and you see that truck, like, why would you want to go back to that? Like,
yeah.
It's like Justin Long, who was in one of the films that we reviewed before. What's it called? Galaxy Quest.
Oh, yeah.
He's back again. He should have called the Gorgonians or whatever to come down and fucking fuck them up.
Tim Arnold.
It's like, right, he's nearly run us off the road. We're just trying to get home. But I want to go back. Schoolboy era.
Yeah, do you know what? There might be more that I can't think of, but there's only two moments
Schoolboy era.
There's only two moments of the script just moved things around so that it could
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
That didn't feel authentic. And first of all, I didn't get why he runs them off the road. So basically, like I was talking about, they see him throwing the bodies down, and then he drives out again. And this time he starts barging them and smashing their car, and they can't get away from him. And they end up going off the road into a cornfield, and then he just drives on.
Yeah.
And I was kind of a bit like, well, if he's on this killing spree,
Well, why don't you just get out?
because we learn later this creature, it's like some ancient weird demon, and every 23 years for 23 days it can come out and feed, and basically fucking going on a crazy killing spree. But why, if he's on this killing spree, why didn't he take him then? Or maybe we learn later that he needs to get you scared, like, and he does actually pick people out. He doesn't really kill at random. He kills in defense when he has to sometimes, but he kind of finds a target and will follow and torment it for a bit. So maybe this was the start of him deciding that he was going to go do something. Or maybe he just wasn't bothered about him at this point.
From my understanding, I actually Googled it and read articles about it.
All right.
It was like, what is this creature? Literally. And apparently, he feeds every 23 years, but he only picks, as you see later in the movie or the film, sorry, I don't really like...
Are you correcting yourself for
I
that?
don't really like using the term movie.
Why?
We're not in America.
Oh, sorry, is it because of are you keeping it on brand with the Filmy McFilm film show?
Basically, yeah.
I say movie.
He basically sniffs out the way that he survives so long is he picks the best organs that he can find. So he sniffs loads of targets out. If he doesn't want something, he just leaves them alone. Which we see later on with the psychic or whatever.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. If he doesn't have anything on the body that he doesn't want, he's just fuck it, I'll move on to the next target. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I thought it was going for a fear thing, but that actually makes more sense.
It's a bit of both, a bit of both kind of thing. He only takes organs that he thinks is beneficial to him. He'll leave the people he thinks are weak, which you see at the end of the film where they're arguing take me, blah blah blah.
That's interesting. Well, so he runs them off the road, and then he leaves them, whatever. Then the only real unbelievable bit is when Justin Long's Darry convinces his sister to go back, because he basically, to be fair, I can't tell if he's just got morbid curiosity or he's actually being selfless and worried, but he says, what if those people are still alive? What if blah, blah, blah? Let's go check on them. They should have just gone and called the police somewhere.
Literally, if it was transferred out to me and you, and a geezer just run us off the road, and you're we've just seen him dumping dead bodies down the chute. Do you want to go back? I was fuck off, Declan.
Yeah. No.
Are you stupid?
I wouldn't even call the police just out of fear.
She was just Daryl, please.
Yeah. So anyway, so they go back and he falls down the tunnel and he finds the creepiest fucking...
Oh,
that's a lair.
So weird.
That's a horror movie guy's lair as well. It's one of the best ever.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
He's sort of looking around it for a little bit, and then after a certain point, he realises that the ceilings, because he's only got his little flashlight for light down there, he realises that the ceilings and walls are all covered in human bodies that are stitched together.
Yeah, that was
and
horrible.
seemingly embalmed, I guess, because regardless of how long the body's been there, none of them are really decomposing, so I guess they were embalmed or something, but...
Oh yeah, he's a very skilled surgeon.
And they're all sewn together.
Yeah.
And also, sorry, I'm skipping over, when he falls down the tunnel, he finds one of the sacks, the body bags that have been thrown down. And he was actually right. One of them is still alive, and he opens it up. And it's this guy who's, you can tell, the colour of him, he's on the verge of death.
Yeah, he's blue,
and he's got horrible stitching going all down his chest and his stomach, where he's clearly had some sort of fucked up DIY surgery done on him, seemingly with organs removed. And it is freaky. And this is where Justin Long's character is just... He's why the fuck did I come down this tunnel? Yeah. This was a terrible idea. So they escape out of there, and they manage to get back to... they find a little, diner. Roadside diner.
Yeah.
And they're in there, and they notice the his car drive back again.
Yeah.
So he's headed back, and he's gonna. They're thinking, he's gonna tell that we've been in there.
Yeah. But first, the phone starts ringing, and this is when like my favourite character comes in, which I just literally burst up laughing the whole time because it's the typical like composition of like a psychic. Like,
Yeah.
I just was like,
There's never
they
like
pick up the phone, like,
a gay French psychic, is there? It's always like an old black woman.
It's always like an old black woman who's like, I'm warning you. And you're just like, oh, here we go again. Like, literally just like, creepers.
And they always explain it in a creepy way. I'd start off like, okay, this is going to sound mental, but I'm a psychic.
There's crow things coming there's bat things coming to find you.
He's a
fucking
monster.
Run.
Yeah, or just whatever.
But she's like, listen to this song and play it on the radio. Like, oh, thanks for that, psychic woman.
Yeah. And they're like freaking out. And also, that's another thing where they go back and forth. Like, they never trust this woman, psychic, even though she's telling them things that end up coming true.
Yeah.
And she's trying to save him. And even at the end, they're like, why are you here? And it's like, you know what she says? She's trying to fucking save you. Why are you having a go at her? But anyway, so she calls him and says all that. And the police come and they explain it to him. And the police are kind of like, this story is fucking weird as fuck. Or whatever. And they even say, like, we shouldn't have told him about the psychic phone call. But anyway. So then the diner, the woman, the waitress working in the diner says, is that your car out front? There's some guy going through your stuff.
Yeah. And
they run out there and all their like clothes and stuff are like littered over the thing, and they said all the other people that were looking out the window were like, it's this guy, he was like all in black and he was sniffing all your clothes. So now it's a thing of he's got their scent and he wants one of them, so he's got his target set on one of them, maybe both of them, but it turns out it's only one of them.
Yeah.
And he's coming after him.
Yeah. Because basically, long story short, I think by that time he knows someone's been into his like little Joseph Fritzl lair.
Yeah.
And he's like, who's been in here? And then he realises Justin Long, innit? So.
Yeah, which I'm assuming, does he smell him or... Because he turns out to be such a kind of unstoppable, indestructible monster that you do kind of think, like, what powers doesn't he have? Like, he might just be telepathically knowing someone was there.
I think that's a bit bullshit, though, because these monsters should have an ability to die as well. Like, the humans should be able to beat them.
Reckon he probably...
I think it's overpowered.
I like that about it. I like that he is an unstoppable monster. Like, it always annoyed me. That's why I always liked Freddy Krueger, where you go to all this trouble to actually kill Freddy. And then... He just comes back in the dream again.
Yeah, but
I like an unstoppable monster.
But at the same time, Declan, surely like you want like the heroes to win at some point. Do you know what I mean? Like,
no. I like sad endings, especially in horror movies.
That's why I love fucking Predator when like literally all the commandos were there, and then like Arnold Schwarzenegger realised it started bleeding. He's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. And I was like, yes, come on, son. Like,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And to be fair, he earns that kill, man. He's out there making
and then
traps.
like Ripley against aliens, like, you fucking bitch.
I remember I read something once where this guy, army expert, like former army guy, he tried to calculate how many man hours it would have actually taken to build all those traps, and apparently it was like, it would have taken like 40 men 3 days.
Oh, really?
So Arnie pulled it off in one fucking day.
On a side subject.
On one night.
Before you say that, this is very interesting, I've got to say, because thoughts pop into my head. Apparently the SAS and the Navy SEALs done an exercise on a beach.
Oh, you tell me about this guy?
And basically, the SAS absolutely smashed them, and the Navy SEALs had to turn around and after 40 hours, it was like, we're just getting battered here. Come and reset it.
Was it on Lad Bible?
Oh yeah, it was. Yeah. But still, that's quite cool, man. We got the best service in the world.
I just cracked up when you said it. I could just tell you were like, yeah. I could tell you were like,
I was just like, God save all.
That's my victory too. Yeah. You're good at stuff. I'm gonna live off that.
I can't climb a mountain. But yeah, back to the film.
So basically, we're talking a lot about him being a monster, but up to this point, he purely appears to be a serial killer. But you get a little glimpse in that this isn't quite, even for a serial killer, normal behaviour, human behaviour.
Yeah.
Up to now. So anyway, so they get their police escort up to I'm assuming up to the nearest police station.
Yeah, because they're in the middle of fucking nowhere. So
and there's this nice little sequence where it's filmed really nicely as well, where basically they're driving in front, the police escort's behind them, and the cameras in long takes is tracking back to their car and then dropping back to see the police escort and then going back to their car. So they're like arguing about the thing, blah, blah, blah. And they're skipping through the radio, and Darry, Justin Long's character, he stops and goes, "That's the song, Jeepers Creepers."
Yeah.
And it's actually an 80s cover of it, so it sounds different.
Yeah.
It's a good little song, actually.
Yeah.
So he hears that and he starts freaking out, like, what's that mean, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the police car, they're getting a call in from the other police who have gone to see the site that they told them about.
Oh, yeah.
And they're saying, this place is fucking up in flames, man. Like, the whole thing's being burned down. So obviously the old creeper's been back there and dealt with it. And just as they get something else comes over the wire. What was it? No, that was it. Justin Long starts thinking as they're driving, and he thinks like, how the hell did he get back from the place
that fast? It was quite a long
to our car to smell our stuff that quickly. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And then just that moment, the police hear something land on the roof, and then we can see that the creeper is standing on the roof of
the police car.
Of the police car, and he quickly fucking deals with them, and he chops their head off and rips them out of the car and does whatever, and it all comes to a crash. And this is the first time we proper get a look at this guy.
But my question is, like, why did he burn it down? Because, like, even if they went...
To destroy evidence of it.
But why does he care? Because he can murder everyone anyway.
Yeah, but why leave it if...
I reckon he would leave it because he's proud of that.
Well, it's also...
Do you know what I mean?
No, but here's why...
Stitch bare things together.
Here's why it's... he stitched all these poor dead bodies together.
It's like the fucking Leonardo da Vinci of, like, stitched bodies on the ceiling. Like, the... What do you call that, cathedral?
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy.
Why would he, like, let it burn
Here's
down?
why it's totally consistent with everything else about his character, is that he, by your same logic, he should just fly around all day in the open killing everyone. But he doesn't. He's intentionally stealth. He tries to go under the radar as a person. He wears clothes. He drives a car. If he has to fly, he'll fly.
Yeah.
But he doesn't fly as a point. He's obviously this ancient creature, probably, thousands or whatever years old, and he's adapted to civilization as he's seen
so
it
he's probably been
change.
around for like 1,000 years. Like, he's done that tactic of like fucking flying about people, like throwing rocks at him and like shooting arrows at him, and he's like, right, I'm gonna go stealth mode now.
And it makes sense as well, because he's got to sleep for 23 years.
True.
So theoretically, like, he doesn't, as much as he's doing his thing, he doesn't want to draw public attention to him.
With this whole 23 years thing, it just brings back, like, memories of another fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, he only wakes up, like, every 30 years, is it? And then he prays.
He's like 27
Yeah,
years.
yeah. It's like, do you reckon there's some basis being...
Yeah, probably. I mean, to be fair, I wonder how common would the whole every couple of years thing be? If we really started thinking of our examples.
Because Pennywise plays on fears, doesn't he? That's his main thing. So it looks very similar.
Probably was really influenced.
Yeah, it looks very, very similar. Like,
yeah.
Looking at it now, it's just coming to my head, like, because I'm reading the Stephen King novel. I think I've been talking about it for 3 weeks. I'm halfway through 200 pages already. Still got another 600 pages to go. It's a fucking tank. I use it as a doorstop sometimes.
Stephen King's coke days. He's just fucking pumping out.
Georgie goes to the train. The boat's nice.
I love Stephen King. Not to besmirch one of the greatest science fiction writers ever, whatever, but he loves to meet. Like, there's so much in a monologues but fucking hell.
I'm sorry, but when I've been on a few piers, I can rant for England. I'll tell one story about crossing the road and then a car came. and I came back.
Yeah, and he'll be like, and then he saw the driver.
Yeah,
he was one of those guys who had mustard on his shirt.
The driver looked like he had a vacant face, but he had a ripped tie. So I wasn't sure if he was an Arsenal fan. So yeah, back to the
so the police. So he cuts off the thing, and this is the first time we get a proper good look at the creature, and he comes out, and it's interesting as well. He never speaks. You don't even know if he doesn't even seem to be capable of speech. But he whistles.
He can. I think.
Well, he never speaks in any of the movies, but he whistles the tune to Jeepers Creepers when he comes out of the car, out of the police car.
I'm sure if something's been around for 1,000 years, it can speak.
Why? It's not even the same species. And he never speaks. That's my only reasoning for that is he never speaks.
But yeah, then he kind of like bites he kills the 2 police officers, then kind of bites the tongue out of one of them.
Yeah, he bites the tongue out, which is a really oddly filmed moment as well, isn't it?
Well, no, I'm trying to think in context, because what I read, there's a whole like wiki fandom about Jeepers Creepers. It's like, I just Googled it and got into one of those like Reddit,
as you do,
kind of like mad forums. What is Creeper? He's like a bat creature that feeds every 23 years. Mm-hmm. He takes the organs that he wants that is going to make him better, then he goes into hibernation. So I'm thinking, why did he take... I've got something later on for why he takes Justin Long's eyes. Or maybe I should say it now.
Just say it now, you brought it up.
Basically, the reason he takes Justin Long's eyes at the end is because Justin Long is the only human that's ever been into his lair.
Seen it.
Yeah, seen
it.
Yeah,
I like that. Actually. That makes sense.
His eyes. And if you look at the end, it's quite clever because he's taken the eyes out from the back instead of the front because he doesn't want to damage them. And then you look through.
Here's my thing, because I always interpret this different, and I think you're right. And it is because wherever I saw it written, it was always described as he took his eyes.
Yeah.
But when I saw that the first time, and every other time since then, I always saw it as he didn't take his eyes out. He's wants his face.
Yeah, but his face was still intact though. Like,
no, that's what I mean.
But
do you remember the final moment is he zooms into Justin Long's now hollow eyes, and he puts his eye up to it. So I always took it as like, oh, he wants a body, like he wants a fake face. He wants a mask. He wants to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing.
Well, that's.
I could be wrong.
I'm
pretty
both
sure.
of us could be right.
I'm actually pretty sure you're right.
You'd have
that was how the way they filmed it. That's how I was.
We don't want to ask the director. Actually,
took it to me. What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Good director though. That's the fucked up thing. Like he's clearly a talented filmmaker.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
A piece of shit. Yeah. So they run away from him and they find that old lady with all the cats, which is another thing the psychic warned them about.
Right. I'm gonna have to stop you at this point. Because I remember watching this originally, and this scene absolutely fucking terrified me.
Yeah, same here.
Like literally, when she's coming to the like window and you can't see if she's human or not, I'm like, this is freaking me out big time. It's the scene out of the whole film. Don't care about Creeper or whatever. It's the old woman who scares me the most.
Oh really? So actually her, not even what happens after.
Yeah, because when she's coming up to like the mesh like bit. Like, she's all in shadow. I'm like, what is this creature like? I'm just trying to look at her. Then she's got all the cats. I'm wondering, are the cats, like, something to do with this, like, creeper character? And then it kind of, like, gets me to another question. The creeper, when he's there, why is there always so many crows? He's not a crow, he's a bat. So what is the significance?
Well, he's not a bat either, but I wouldn't look into it too much there. I would just say that's a really... typical horror trope.
Yeah. Raven, Edgar Allan.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
You know, why have it at night? Scary scenes. It's just what you do, isn't it?
But then she gets a shotgun and I'm like...
She gets fucked up.
The old lady's an old lady, it turns out. She gets a shotgun. I'm like, yeah, she's going to do him in.
Yeah.
She's shooting the gun and then next thing, she's dead.
Yeah, she gets fucked up. And then they finally get the upper hand on the creature at one bit where he's doing some weird sort of like... He's in the middle of the road and they've gotten to the car again. They're trying to get away. And he does this little... They try and run him over. He does this like little tippy toes like along the bonnet thing where he like jumps over.
He's just running forwards and backs.
And he's like nearly... that's the weird thing because it becomes such a... Once you see that it's not a serial killer, it's a monster, it becomes... Like, it's definitely not a comedy. But
mate.
It's clearly having fun.
Yeah.
With the... Like... And maybe it's inspired by some... Because you hear that a lot about, like, mythologies of, like, creatures and demons and stuff like that. They were tricksters. And that's definitely what he is, because he's fucking with you constantly. Like, he's always messing you around with you. And he never just comes up and kills someone. Like, even before he kills the old woman in the last scene, he pretends to be the scarecrow. Yeah. And then before he kills her, he brings her out to the front door, like, pretending like she's still alive. But he's doing a little tippy-toes somersault routine. And then they do something. I can't remember what it is, if they just change their speed or they turn or something. But they managed to actually run him over. Yeah,
I was trying to work that out myself because, like, Justin Long was, like, freaking out in the front end. Just drive. Like, and she's like, no. And, like, she, like, starts reversing and, like, it's the typical, like, horror where, like, the reversing ain't working. It's like, like, doing that shit, like, so you know something's going to happen. And then somehow, like, I don't know, for some reason he must have been tired from running up and down for a bit. They managed to run him over. And what I liked about this sequence is, like, they run him over once and she reverses over
well,
like
she
10
says,
times. Like,
he goes, is he dead? And she goes, they never are.
Yeah,
she keeps reversing
I thought that
back.
was quite
and
cool,
I was like, yes, man.
Yeah.
And another thing, like, it is true, like, the cars are such a feature of this movie. Like, their car and his car, especially the Creeper's car, feel like such characters nearly themselves in the movie.
It's like Jewel, man.
And again, like, combining genres, serial killer, it's got that nearly, like, Dusk Till Dawn's a good comparison in terms of how it suddenly, immediately becomes a totally different sort of movie all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, serial killer genre, monster feature, and also kind of, it's a road trip movie in a way as well, because the whole movie is spent along highways.
Yeah, but wouldn't you like, not being funny, I know it doesn't make a difference in the long run, but he's just murdered the old woman, they run her over. I'll be going back in, getting that fucking shotgun and just going...
No, I'd keep driving, man.
Bang.
You don't want to backtrack on yourself. You're trying to find, for whatever reason, like, I guarantee this creature doesn't want to fuck around in cities.
That is true, actually, yeah.
Like he's all about being stealth.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he's still out in the country. So, like, he's...
Good point.
He and it's not like he has a lair he always has to go back to. We know he moves from lair to lair. Like, he's quite pragmatic for a fucking goblin monster.
Good point. So, like, if it was set in, like, fucking...
You want to find people, basically.
If it was set in, like, New York, they'd have no chance.
Yeah.
Bastards.
You'd have to be properly stealth.
Yeah, so they run him over,
and
then he starts spazzing out, and his wings come out.
He's completely flattened.
Yeah.
One of his legs is, like, barely hanging on. Limbs are hanging off or completely hanging off. And one of his wings, you get the first reveal of his wing. Although up to this point, you've got the feeling that he's flying somehow, but you haven't actually seen it yet.
Yeah, because he moves too quickly. Yeah.
And one of his wings comes out, and it's kind of just twitching, obviously from how much he's been run over. And they say, "Fuck it, let's get out of here."
But what? I've got so many questions. What happens if they, like, manage to go to the old woman's house, get, like, an axe, and just chop his head clean off? Because there's no way that he could, like, regrow a head. He doesn't eat heads.
I think this creature is killable, but it has to be at the point, and he does eat heads, actually. Like in Jeepers Creepers 2. He actually has his head so badly cut off.
I wrote down many notes. How I would kill this thing.
He's got his head so fucked up that he bites someone else's head off and kind of, like, pops a new head out.
I was just like, I wrote down bare notes and I was like, cool Van Helsing. Like, it's just there, huge.
I reckon if you cut all his arms and legs off and cut his head off and just cut them into little pieces and then scatter them away from each other and burn them.
Yeah, he can't.
He would die.
He can't rebuild himself from that.
I think
because he can't move.
I think he's got a ridiculous threshold from what he can revive.
Or what about if you just fucking like cut him into pieces and bury him like 30 foot under the floor? He can't reconnect himself and he can't eat anything. So he's got to be dead.
I think at that point.
Yes. I knew there was a way.
I think so. But they didn't do that.
Yeah.
They just ran him over. So
yeah.
So they drive off and they head to a police station. And they're telling them the wacky story or whatever, and they're all freaked out. And they're obviously like saying about the policeman that got killed, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they actually give them the story of what they've seen.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming they just know better at this point. So the police are there and whatever. So, and this is again like where physically it starts becoming very funny. Like it's such a fun creature at this point.
Funny,
because the creature pulls up in his car and you see him limping into the back of the police station.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's literally like, when I say limping, I mean he's for every step forward he takes, he's kind of nearly taking 3 steps sideways because his leg is just hanging off, like it's barely there, and his arm is hanging off, and he's like, his spine is about 7 different directions. He's got the shit kicked out of him, but he's like still alive, and he's limping into the back, and he sneaks into the back of the police station.
So basically, me trying to get home from Fox.
Yeah. a bit more like sense of direction. Really.
Yeah.
But he, so he sneaks in. Cuts the lights. They immediately know. The psychic lady showed up. She's doing her little spiel.
Oh, she just runs through, and the police are like, for some reason,
they know
they're in a police station, and the doors aren't locked, to which they have to unlock from under a desk. The doors are just locked, so everyone can just walk in. She just runs in like, children. Yeah. I'm just like,
Lordy.
Yeah.
I must tell you about the creature.
Yeah.
And again, this is the thing that annoyed me. Like this nice woman showing up, trying to help you. She knows what's happening, and they're just sort of like, "Oh, why are you here? What do you want?"
Yeah, but she's actually got no answers though. She's just telling them.
I'm sorry, but if someone's like, "This mad shit's happening to you," and someone's like, "Look out for the red bus," and then you nearly get run over by a red bus, you wouldn't be like, "We didn't tell me what time the red bus was coming," would you? You'd be like, "Fucking hell, you can tell the future.
Yeah,
you're going to come in handy."
Well, if someone turned around to me and was like, "A black creature's following you," I was like, I've seen it, yes.
Yeah, even just that. I'd like run over and be like, wow, you knew.
What could we do?
Be my friend and help me. But anyway, so the lights go out and it cuts to, we see a little policeman looking down, because I guess he's checking on the prisoners, which is like some sort of protocol if the lights go out, if there's a power cut. So he's checking them on all.
Roll call. And
they all seem cool, and then he gets down towards the end and he sees a couple of prisoners that are spooked, looking all freaked out. And in the next cell he goes and looks and sees the creatures in there. He's completely got rid of all his clothes, and he's eating the arms and one arm and one leg of this prisoner.
Yeah.
And you see he's actually grown back a new arm and new leg, which still appears human-like. He stands out from the rest of his like scaly skin. So he's basically munching through prisoners to revive himself.
Yeah, fucking hell, man. And then a little fat policeman just pulls out like a little handgun and like... That's gonna do anything.
That's another thing that cracked me up was he sees it and he's kind of like, whoa, I better shoot.
Yeah, he's not like run away easily.
No, but not even that. He doesn't really have the reaction of, like, he's a bit shocked, but he doesn't have the reaction of, I'm seeing a giant bat monster thing.
Yeah,
he's just like. Yeah, and then he gets fucked.
I feel like Declan that a lot of villains can be killed by fire. So I think if there was some kind of like flamethrower, they wouldn't like fire.
It's usually fire and water, and that was the whole point of Freddy vs. Jason, where they had the opposite weaknesses.
Yeah. So I feel like if it burned, it wouldn't like it. I don't know, because
who does?
You can't really grow back limbs if you're badly burnt. Do you know what I mean? You must be in terrible pain all the time. Yeah. So maybe that could have worked.
Maybe, yeah. Try it in the next movie. So you have like the big face-off where he's munching his way through all the police and the kids are running and trying to hide.
And number two, the police are shit, man. They don't do anything. They just got guns and stuff.
Well, they're getting fucking eaten and shit. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, they're doing their best, man.
Well, they don't even fire a single bullet. They just they must.
No, they do. But he's just like he's sneaking around in the shadows, and he's like coming from the ceiling. And also, like, you would be shocked if you saw a bat monster.
Well, like, still try and shoot it if I had a gun.
Yeah, probably. But and again, like, talking about the psychic lady not being helpful, she says, "No, leave here. I've seen the bad thing I've seen happens here," and they don't leave. They just run up and hide in the room, like she told them not to. So again, she tries to help them. They don't listen.
But I think once it gets your scent or something, it just continues to track you down. I reckon it would just continue to do it for the whole time. Again,
she's still trying to help you. You can't say she wasn't useful. She's telling you. She told them, you'll die if you stay here.
Yeah, and going back to the thing of New York and like being in cities, I reckon if he was going around in like a normal kind of like costume that he wears with like obviously not his face, because like maybe like his face covered, he'd be fine. Because I've seen worse crackers in Barnes Green than that. Yeah, that's true. Literally. Do you know what I mean?
It's like really bad expo.
Yeah, like, and New York's got loads of people at night. New York's mad. Like.
Yeah, and London.
So I reckon he'd be fine. I reckon he'd just constantly hunt them. Just go out at night. Like, do you know what I mean?
He'd be better off during COVID.
Yeah.
Have a fucking mask on all the time and sunglasses.
Well, that's what happens when you don't get your jab, peeps.
Yeah. But he what's it called? Yeah, so he sniffs them out and he decides which one he wants, and he goes with Justin Long.
Justin from
Justin Long,
Derry, like the sister's like, take me.
Yeah, so she tries to give herself over, and I like it, like, because they start off being so cunty to each other, and it ends. I like as well. You don't see many movies or horror movies where it's always like a girl and a boyfriend, or like you don't really get siblings that often in horror movies. So it was a different dynamic, which I like.
But that would never happen in like, obviously this ain't real life. It's a bat creature kind of thing. But like, you'd be so terrified, like you wouldn't be going, take me. I'm like, fucking hell.
You never know. People have done absolutely unbelievably selfless acts.
True.
In the most horrible situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you never know. Like, you never know. When a bat creature goes on a homicidal rampage, maybe we'll find out.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she tries to offer herself to him, and he kind of like, I think he nearly considers it for a moment, because he hangs around for a bit. I don't know if he considers it, or they thought, this is the first time, this is the only time where we truly get a full wide shot view of the creature.
Yeah.
So I think it might have also been a bit of just, you've been here for 90 minutes, you've been teased the whole time, got more and more glimpses as you go on. So they just gave you, here's like 10 seconds of seeing this thing in all its glory. And once you see it with all the clothes off, and even these extra appendages and sort of finger fangs come out of its head, and its wings are out in all its glory, and it really, at that point I was like, this doesn't, it seemed just like a human the whole time. It really just, you could, other than the obvious thing of it being a monster, it just didn't even look humanoid anymore. It really did just look like such an interesting design, I think.
Yeah, that kind of thing where it like opened up his face straight away. I was like, Predator, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
but it's just a great creature design. And then he flies away with old Justin Long. And the film ends as we see that he's found a new little lair in some abandoned factory.
Meat
You can hear Justin Long screaming. And then over the tune of Jeepers Creepers playing on an old megaphone, like the old psychic lady said. And you see that Justin Long's eyes have been removed and seemingly eaten by the creature to be assimilated into his body.
And that was the saga of Jeepers Creepers.
That was fucking Jeepers Creepers. So, so a couple of interesting things. So apparently the original ending was going to have Justin Long's character drive the creature into an oncoming train in an unsuccessful attempt to kill him and actually die in the act. So he was gonna sacrifice himself intentionally,
and then the creature didn't die.
And then the creature didn't die, and then I don't know what would actually happen with that ending. I know that the sister Trish was always gonna live,
right?
I
I suppose that doesn't set up a sequel, so that's why they didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know what the creature was never going to actually die.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
It's just more, I think, there was a budget cut of $1 million from the $10 million budget just before they were going to start filming, so I think they had to just rewrite and cut 20 minutes from the end of the movie on the fly.
Oh, okay.
That would have been cool. And, also another little thing, did you figure out what the number plate, you saw it already, didn't you?
I didn't.
So remember the number plate game they play? Where they read people's number plates when they're personalised and work out what they mean?
I know you're covering the screen, you can't see it because it's a podcast. I thought it was Beast something. Beast.
No, it was B eating you.
Oh, okay.
So it was B, the letter B, eating, and then the letter U. But it was B.
I thought it was something Beast, like
rather than B seeing you.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the number plate on the creature's thing. And lastly, there's a reboot on the way. So they're doing a remake.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Or a remake or a recontinuation on it anyway. But I actually like that.
Or it might be a prequel, I think.
Whatever it is, it's going to be by a new director. It's not going to be made by a paedophile, so I can go see it and not feel guilty, because I would definitely not go see it.
You ever seen a Roman Polanski film?
No, I refuse to give him... I'll watch them still, but movies like that and Woody Allen, if I'm going to watch them, I'm going to stream them illegally. Like, make sure no pennies are going his way. But I'll be well up for that, man. Like, for me, this creature, the creeper, is... And partly it's just because of when I grew up, and like I was very young when it came out. But for me, it's as iconic a horror character as any of them.
Where do you think he ranks in terms of power? Like, if you had him facing
up
against...
versus?
Like
in a knockout tournament?
Like kind of like a Mortal Kombat kind of situation where they face each other. The creature versus
so who's
Freddy
he going
Krueger.
Against? Freddy Krueger, even in his dreams, I don't think the creeper's too scared. I don't think the creeper's going to be too scared of like facing Freddy Krueger in his dreams. But potentially, just by the nature of how he works, I feel like Freddy Krueger is kind of unbeatable. Okay,
right. So
who else is
Michael Myers he'd take out, because Michael Myers is just a human.
Well, so he's not technically like. It depends what of the movies you go by, and some of them be supernatural. But either way, I agree, he'd fuck up Michael Myers.
The creature versus...
He'd fuck up Jason.
The creature versus... I don't know the exact... an alien.
He'd fuck up the alien.
Yeah.
He'd fuck up a predator.
No, I reckon Predator would take it.
Predator's not indestructible.
He'd have like a laser thing.
Firstly, he'd probably smell the predator, so it wouldn't matter if he was invisible. The predator's not...
I'm going to find
one that revive himself.
Beats him, man, because I fucking want to beat this creature.
I love it, man.
It really annoys me, man.
I love an unstoppable... an unstoppable monster or a force, whether it's like a haunting or whatever, in horror movies.
There must be like a creature that can
how
beat
I like
it, man. There must be. What about then? I'm going in the...
You gotta keep it to horror.
I'm going... No. I'm going in the... I'm crossing over to sci-fi.
Alright.
The Terminator versus the creature. The Terminator would smash it, man.
I don't know.
Like, it'd have a shotgun and like fucking take it out, man.
But the Terminator is quite slow. And so the creature can sneak out. And the creature's clearly got insane fucking strength.
Wolverine.
Oh, that's a good one.
I reckon Wolverine would destroy it.
It'd be a close fight.
Wolverine.
Although, theoretically, the creature could just...
grow back.
Well, he could also just grab him, fly up to an unbelievably high height, drop him.
Van Helsing.
There we go. You found him.
Yeah.
Van Helsing would fuck him up.
yeah. It's a bat, isn't it?
Sure is. So here's one thing as well. What do you reckon the inspiration for the creature design was?
Well, obviously, it's going to sound a bit cliche, isn't it, really, from me? I would look at stuff like old school Dracula, how do you pronounce it? Not Esther. Nosferatu. Like, looking at that, like, you know, but maybe that's probably not the right one.
Just Gothic architecture, like gargoyles and stuff.
Gargoyles,
That's another thing I liked about this is it was such an obvious sort of demonic creature design that you don't really see in modern movies.
Yeah.
Or even from like movies from the 70s onwards. Things had to be a bit different, and people would avoid that sort of design. But it's not something you would see generally in movies, and that's part of why I liked it so much as well.
But I feel like maybe if they're like putting this idea towards the film board, we're going to do a bat creature, they're going to be straight away like, hang on, we've already done this with like Dracula and shit like this. Why are you choosing that?
Well, I don't think they'd say we've already done this, but because there's one thing Hollywood loves doing is like, milking a fucking dead horse to combine two expressions. But I just think more you'd be like if you read it on the page, I would think a lot of people would think this sounds corny.
Yeah.
Rewrite this, make it just a serial killer, or like tone down this monster.
Let's be honest, at some points it was corny. I did find myself bursting out laughing.
Yeah, but this is my thing where the same thing I said about Midsummer, whereas I remember I spoke to a lot of people that didn't like Midsummer, said, or they think it wasn't good. They were like, "Oh, people were laughing in my screen." I was like, "Yeah, they were cracking up in my screen." Like, I don't think any time when you, like, let me put it this way: if the filmmakers were in the audience, they'd be getting rotten tomatoes thrown at them. But if the filmmakers were in the audience, I don't think, and they were hearing laughter in those parts, they wouldn't be going like, "Oh, that's supposed to be taken seriously."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you laugh, you're supposed to be laughing, and it's not even laughing like you're laughing. You're not laughing like that's so stupid. You're laughing like when there's a smile in your face. Like
well, to be honest, I'd take laughter as a compliment because it's hard to make people genuinely laugh.
No, but it depends. If you're going for like if
serious
you're laughing
film,
because your attempt at a serious, heartfelt monologue is so badly acted that it makes you laugh. That's not
like
what
the Room.
Yeah, but this movie, it was.
No,
I don't know what the word is. It's not comical. It's not satire, but it's just something fun about it. Like I just have a smile on my face the whole time throughout this movie. And especially when the creature actually shows up and starts doing his goofy stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there is a cartoonish quality. That's probably the word, cartoonish. Like, there's a cartoonish quality. Like, when he gets run over so many times, he kind of literally, like, re-inflates himself.
Yeah, it's like Sideshow Bob when he keeps, like, stepping at a rate, like, ooh. Like, kind of thing. Or, like, Tom and Jerry or the Coyote and fucking Roadrunner where he falls off cliffs, like. Surrender flag, and just gets back up. Yeah, I totally get that, man.
And just for the fact that element to it just feels so out of place in the kind of horror movie it is throughout. It's a very tense horror movie, really well acted, played totally straight the whole time, with this increasingly comical, cartoonish villain.
Yeah, but
it works. I'm not saying that as a negative.
It does work, and I feel like Justin Long was perfectly cast because he's such a nerdy loser, and the whole time you're just like, haha, this guy, man.
Yeah, and the dynamic's
around like, don't you believe me?
Because the sister's quite reserved and unsure at first, and he's kind of taking the lead, and then once he sees that horror's inside the creature's lair,
it becomes a shell. Yeah,
and she literally is the driver from then onwards and like takes the driving seat and she becomes a stronger character all the way up to her offering her life to the creature to spare her brother at the end. So would you recommend it?
Jeepers Creepers, yeah, I would.
I would 100% recommend you to illegally stream this movie, so that don't let that disgusting pedophile filmmaker make any money off this.
Good point.
He is a piece of shit, and it seems like he'll never get to make another movie again, because when he tried to bring out Jeepers Creepers 3, the internet was fully in flow by that point, so people made a big hoo-ha about it, and it ended up flopping, and kind of just all blowing up in his face. But if you have a little illegal stream somewhere, then absolutely watch it. For me, it's one of my favourite movies ever. It's fucking brilliant.
I would say I would condense it into like, do you know on a Saturday where like you kind of feel like going out but you can't be bothered but you want to do something. It's kind of like the perfect film to like do that. Like you're just kind of like feeling a bit like I want to do something, but I can't be arsed. It's the perfect film for that, just to take 2 hours away, be like, oh,
yeah, and not even
I'm
2
gonna go
hours.
a thrill round.
It's a
right.
tight movie.
Yeah,
it's
a
90
tight
minutes,
movie,
and
yeah.
it goes, and you left wishing there was a couple more scenes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
I wish
yeah.
it was a little bit more filled out in the middle even. Not that it needs it, but
it
you're left
flows,
wanting more.
Yeah, it flows perfectly. Yeah, like, I would highly recommend it, yeah.